through the Council's website. The IJB is a joint data controller with Inverclyde Council and NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde under the UK General Data Protection Regulations and Data Protection Act of 2018. This meeting will be broadcast and recorded to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. Data collected during this meeting will be retained in accordance with Council published policies available through the Council website. Members of the IJB Audit Committee are reminded that we should follow the IJB's established meeting protocols, including around the use of the chat facility, and that comments made in the chat facility are visible to all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public who have also received invites to the meeting. And with that, can I welcome everyone this afternoon? And if we'd like to kick off, do we have any apologies, substitutions or declarations of interest?
We have no apologies for absence. Chair, now move to a roll call. We're asking for declarations of interest. And the following members please indicate they are present at the meeting either in person or remotely. David Gould.
Present.
Councillor Quinn.
Present remotely.
Dr Metcalf.
Present.
Councillor Reynolds.
Present remotely.
Diana McCrone. And Charlene Elliott.
Present remotely.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Thank you for that. Just one quick point of order, and you can guide me on this. Becky is also joining us. Dr. Becky Metcalf is joining us today as new member of the Audit Committee. I understand we have to go through a formal process this afternoon at the full committee, so am I right in thinking that Becky is here in observer capacity only? Right. Thank you for that clarification. Keep me right. Okay, if we can move on to item number 2, please. The minute of the meeting of the Audit Committee, the 24th of June 2024. Does anyone have any points of clarification or adjustment that they want to make to this? No? In that case, I should take that, looking online as well, I shall take that as accepted as an accurate recording of the last meeting. Thank you. If we move on to item number 3, the IJB Audit Committee Rolling Annual Work Plan. I believe, Craig, you are head for this.
Thank you, and for yourself, convener. This is a standard rolling plan that we've done for every committee. Just shows the main reports in the work plan that we have for the next year ahead of us. Don't think there's anything major on it, no surprises, but as always, happy to take any comments or questions in a moment.
Okay, looking around the room and my colleagues online, does anyone have any questions or comments for Craig? Nope, I'm not seeing anything. No hands up. Okay, in that case, if we can then move on to item number 4, the Internal Audit Annual Strategy and Plan for 24-25. Is that yourself again, Craig?
It is. Thank you very much. Again, this is our internal strategy and plan for this financial year, and it focuses upon the internal audit's work for the next year based upon the main risks that we have identified via risk register. As is the case, we're in the middle of an agreed 2-year savings exercise, and it's obviously heavily focused on budget control in the actual report. That's the main things. Andy Priestland has actually helped in the background. She's been off for a while, as most people are aware, but she's helped with this particular report, so she's seen it as well, and she'll be back very soon. So she's given it her stamp of approval as well. So, as always, happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Craig. Colleagues online around the room, does anyone have any questions or comments for Craig at this point? I'm not seeing any. If I could just have one, Craig, in terms of the organisational redesign work that we're doing tied into the budgetary process for the next 2 years, can I ask how Andy and the team anticipate that will be tackled through the audit plan? Is that going to be covered through the budgetary process work? I don't know if you're able to comment at this point.
It's one of them to take away, but I would expect that they will know what to do with this. We're happy to go and speak to them about it.
That's great, thank you very much. Okay, colleagues, in that case, thank you very much for that. If we can move on to item number 5 then, please. The status of the External Audit Action Plan at 31st of August 2024. Let's go again, Craig.
It is indeed. So, as the paper says, this is the status of the external audit plan as of the 31st of August. And this is a follow-on from the one that we brought to Audit Committee in June. At that point, the external auditors had a total of 5 actions against that we were working on. And in June, we addressed and gave updates on 4 of them. I'm concerned that they've been completed on that side of things. This left one still to be completed, and this is the update of the integration schemes. This work is still ongoing for all 6 HSCPs, and we expect this now to be completed by the end of the financial year. As always, happy to take any comments or questions on that.
Colleagues? I'm looking online. No question or comments. Craig, you're getting a very easy right today, nothing to say, despite being het for everything. In that case, if we can move on to item number 6, the IJB risk register, and is this yourself, Kate, or will this be Craig again?
Yep, no, I'm happy to do that. So, for yourself, Marina, this is the updated IJB risk register, and this is after discussions with the senior management team. The report highlights the major changes that were made after reviewing the main risks as an IJB. The main changes are the removal of the home care risk, as this is due to the increased capacity we had with the award of the new home care tender. So we felt that that risk was not as significant as it's been in the past. Minor changes have also been made around the financial sustainability risk, the workforce mental health risk, the performance management risk, and the new strategic plan risk. Again, no real changes to the scores, and as mentioned that in the report, and the details all there behind there. But as always, happy to take any comments or questions you may have.
Colleagues, any questions or comments? Charlene, your hand is up.
Thanks, Chair. It was a question in relation to the workforce risk that appears to be one of the highest risks on there. And apologies, but I haven't had access this morning or the opportunity to review previous risk registers in detail. But I wondered how long that risk had been at that level, Craig, and at what point you would see that starting to reduce, or what timeframes have been put in place, because I know under the controls it does reference timeframes, but there are none listed there.
Charlene, if you don't mind if I come in, because obviously I have ongoing discussions with the heads of service around the workforce risk. So your first question was, how long do you anticipate this to be here as a risk?
Yeah, it was how long had it been at that level of risk, and at what point do you see that starting to reduce? I think
Maybe Craig needs to actually answer that question. I think it's been there for a while.
Yeah.
It has. This has been a continuous one we've had on, and as you would expect that, just because it's a workforce, it's one of our biggest assets that we've got, and obviously we've went through a number of changes in terms of obviously setting to your budget as well. So we would continue. We'd expect that to still be on the risk register for the time being anyway.
Okay, and how long do we anticipate? I don't think we're at that stage that we can answer that question. There's multiple factors at place. There's recruitment, retention. We should see slight improvement within our mental health, because of the new entrants in October. So we recruit on a yearly basis for band 5s for mental health workforce, and we still have Gina's undertaken work to review the various medical grades, and to see if we actually need the number of consultant psychiatrists, and can we use different medical grades to take forward, because of the challenges we have around the recruitment of medical grades, and whether that we can look at other grades that come in and fulfil some of that capacity. So there is work ongoing, but I can't say when we would be able to reduce that. As soon as we feel that we're in a situation that we are confident that the risk has reduced, we will reduce it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. I noticed that it was a theme across both the IJB audit and IJB committee, so I thought it was worth asking that question about what you see as the trajectory there. Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Charlene. Colleagues, any other questions? I'm not seeing any, in which case we take that as accepted. Thank you very much for that, Dave and Kate. We can move on to item number 7, the directions update for 2024. Kate, is that you?
Yeah, that's the improvement plan. No.
No.
Oh, is it yourself? Vicky, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to ask the IJB Audit Committee to note a summary of the directions issued by the IJB from the period of March to August 2024. Paragraph 4 of the report sets out the summary detail, and a copy of the directions log is attached to Appendix 1. As stated in paragraph 3.3, this report provides only a summary of the directions issued rather than providing comments on their content. As agreed at the previous audit committee, in which the directions were discussed, completed and superseded directions in previous financial years have been removed from the law at Appendix 1. As a reminder, the IJB Audit Committee's remit in respect of directions is to maintain work in progress with their implementation, to escalate any key delivery issues. I'm happy to take any questions.
Colleagues looking around the room. Charlene, is that a legacy hand or a question hand?
Apologies, I couldn't find my mute button there. I'm just using it. Yeah, it's a legacy hand. Apologies.
No problem. Colleagues, any questions for Vicky on this? No, okay, in that case, we should take that as accepted. Thank you very much. Now, if we can move on to item number 8, the Improvement Action Plan, Joint Inspection of Adult Services.
So can I just introduce Joyce Allen, who is acting as the Deputy Chief Social Work Officer, and Jonathan Sun.
Welcome, Joyce.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Chair. This report is simply to advise committee members about the action plan that has been proposed, and that's in response to the integrated inspection that took place that concluded in May of this year, and that was the integrated inspection with a focus on people living with mental illness. The action plan is attached, obviously, for your information. A number of the improvement actions have already commenced. The first review of the action plan will be in December of this year, so this is us just proposing the action plan for agreement. The Care Inspector have seen the draft action plan and they're quite happy with it at the moment. So just if there's any questions,
I'm looking around the room and online. Any questions, colleagues? No? You're almost off easy, Joyce. I have one question, if you'll allow me. In terms of the areas of improvement in the action plan, can you explain how we as an audit committee will actually see progress against that? What is the intention in terms of reporting? Because obviously there's a lot of work involved in this, and we'd expect it to come back at some point to the audit committee.
well, I know Jonathan's planning to bring a report back after the review in December.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the format of that report, but I think it will be a reflective action plan.
So within the action plan, it's pretty detailed around what good would look like, what improvement would look like. So Joyce is right. There will be a report that comes back and details the actual actions and activities that have actually met. So you can see that a lot of it is process, the advocates for certain processes. So we'll update you with the process, the leadership and direction, and leadership of change and improvement. Well, you know, we struggle with that one, to be quite honest with you, because of all the work that has been done. But at the time that the Care Inspector came in, we had significant challenges around our capacity as a leadership group with vacancies. So we'll probably bring some reassurance around our quality assurance processes and some of the initial work around the development of outcomes, because at that time there was a concern that we weren't looking at outcomes and from an integrated framework. That's quite difficult to do because there isn't an integrated outcome framework in Scotland, though at that stage the Care Inspector felt that we should be able to show that. But what we will do is the outcomes that we are achieving within health and social work, it may well not be integrated because our systems are not integrated, but we'll have some attempt to show you the direction of travel, and Katrina and Jonathan is working on that too. And the new service manager for mental health will be responsible for taking some of the quality aspects forward from a social work point of view.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that, Kate. Thank you, Joyce. Colleagues, any more questions or comments? I'm not seeing anything. In that case, thank you very much for that. If we could now move on to the last item on the agenda, Inverclyde Alcohol and Drug Recovery Services.
So, I'll just take this item. This was, this was the report that we were asked to put in to look at the spend due to the concerns that were raised at the IJB about the spend around their alcohol and drug recovery services, and whether that it was acceptable to have that level of unallocated funds. So the report is to just give assurance to the Audit Committee that the major underspends lies with vacancies. So we're provided a pretty detailed report around the length of time it allows for vacancies to get through the system. This is going to be compounded as well because there's a turnover expectation around NHS, GG&C to provide for their own savings, so it'll be a much lengthier process than it currently is, but you can see that it doesn't happen immediately, and that's what's creating a lot of the underspend and all of the other money in terms of risk and any other external funding has been committed. So I hope that provides some level of assurance to the IJB.
Thank you, Kate. I'll open it up, and Diane, I see your hand is up.
Yes, given that a number of these posts are funded on a fixed term basis, obviously the staff are going for permanent jobs at the first opportunity. Does that not make some of this a bit self-defeating?
Diana, we get the fixed term funding, we have no more opportunity, it's what the government gives us, so we either have to use the money or lose the money, and it's a wider system issue and not necessarily just about Inverclyde, it is across the system. There's concerns both in NHS and council about the limitations of fixed term funding, and that comes from Scottish Government funds funding.
Diana, does that answer your question?
Yes and no. It just seems a shame that you've got this uncertainty around the service because the posts are fixed term only. And they're quite high level jobs within the team, particularly for a liaison and assertive outreach.
But the challenge being, I guess, to summarise, is it's not within our gift to actually make it as permanent roles. So we can only play the hand we're given. It would, yeah, is that a fair summation?
That is, Chair. I mean, we can only spend money that we have either got recurring or non-recurring, and this comes out to non-recurring. And the danger if we don't spend it, and that's been some of the criticisms around it, that we kind of are not fulfilling our obligation, but it is how funding is distributed from Scottish Government. And it will be an issue for GG&C, NHS GG&C across the board. And it's currently identified as an issue around the impact of the short-term funding or funding. We will try and do the best that we can for the people of Inverclyde.
Thank you, Kate. Colleagues, any other questions for the team? I'm not seeing any around room. If I could be forgiven for this one, can I ask what the impact? We're down, looking through the paper, we're down effectively 7 people. Now, I don't know if that's 7 full-time equivalents or 7 bodies. I'm wondering, what impact is that having from a service user perspective? Are we able to discern an adverse impact, or are those who are seeking out our services, they get the support that they need.
I mean, there will be an impact, you know, there's no getting away with it. I suppose that what we've done is we're looking at our pathways in and out of support, and we're looking at our pathways with particularly our third sector colleagues at the Commission, and making sure that they get tighter. And there is a pathway, I think, at the time that you can see in the mental illness inspection, that they didn't feel that we were gathering the impact of our commissioning intentions through our outcomes, and that Katrina has set up that commissioning group. As a consequence, we will be to do that only to strengthen the pathways. So we would hope that perhaps that we would use that as an opportunity to support the people much more effectively and provide that level of safety net for people that are potentially requiring back into the service or are in danger of relapsing.
Thank you, Kate. Sandra, I see your hand is up.
Yes, thanks. Just to go back to the previous point, which I was going to comment on as well. Kate, you said that this was an issue across GGC. Is there any lobbying going on from GGC about the fixed term contracts pose?
I don't know. I wouldn't describe it as lobbying, because I don't imagine GGC would lobby government in the way that elected members do. But it has been raised as a particular issue, and continues to be raised at the corporate and the board, and with non-executive directors who are on this call will be able to recognise that this is being seen as a risk for GGC, not just for Inverclyde, but about the sustainability for the budget moving forward.
Okay, thanks. Just to ask if there's anything else that can be done to raise this problem.
Sandra, Councillor Rounds, I don't think there is anything else that we can do that we haven't done. You know, I mean, you can see that we have to follow due process. We're taking things to recruitment as quickly as we can. We're also in the process of having challenges around recruitment and retention, particularly within this area and mental health. But Katrina is very creative and constantly looks at opportunities to deliver the service in different ways and look at different skill sets to deliver service, and then just to reinforce the work that we intend to do with our Commission third sector partners.
Okay.
Thanks, Councillor Reynolds. Thanks, Kate. Are there any other questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. In that case, unless there's any other prompting business, have any points you want to raise? I'm not seeing. Then I think we can call an end to this meeting. Thank you very much for your time, everybody, colleagues, and everyone on the line as well. Thank you.